I'm a little late.
Oh, it's okay. I saw that you were doing a live stream.
Yeah. And then I had a meeting right after, and I was just like, I gotta go have an interview.
All good.
Bathroom.
I loved your performance. I watched a little bit of it with the new song.
Thank you. Thanks.
So cool. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I've got two kids. A young one that loves the songs, and my mom's a preschool teacher, and she actually plays your records for her kids.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. So when I told her I was interviewing you, she's like, "Oh my God, I love her." So thank you again so much for doing this. Yeah. So like I said, it's about your journey in the music industry. So we'll just tell me about where did you grow up?
Well, when I was actually the age of most kids that I'm thinking about when I write my songs, which I sort of think of as like infant up to about 7. Not that other people can't enjoy them. Hopefully they do. But I am thinking about those kids when I write. I actually lived in Southern California at that point. We moved almost every year for some just various reasons outside of LA. And
okay, we're in San Diego, so I know. So Southern California quite well.
So we were a little closer to LA, most of like Hollywood, Culver City, that area. But then when I was 7, we moved to the East Coast, and I basically spent the rest of my years growing up in New Jersey, and ended up going to Rutgers as a college student as well. So I've kind of become an East Coaster since then.
Very cool. How'd you get into music?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I always loved music. And when I was in high school, I had fantasies of being a star in Broadway musicals. Like that was kind of really what I wanted to do. I thought, although I also thought like that may be somewhat far-fetched with my life, but I had done that in high school. I was in the musicals and had one of the lead roles in my junior and senior year. So it was definitely one of those things where I was like, this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
And then that didn't go, like, it was not a direct path to that. So I ended up actually, I took a year off between college and not a year off. I took a year after college to move to New York City and see what I could do with music. I had started writing music. I was playing in coffee houses, and my folks helped with paying for basically my rent. They were like, we'll pay rent for you for a year if you can figure out how to eat and do jobs. So I did that for a while. And I had worked with autistic adults and a lot of I watered plants. I mean, I did and I babysat for a neighbor for her daughter. And the neighbor was a movement teacher at Rockefeller University's Child and Family Center for the kids of the staff and faculty there. Mm-hmm. And I ended up talking with her, and she was like, God, you're so good with my kid. And you're like, you were I was a camp counselor. I was a music counselor at a camp up in Vermont. So anyway, long response to your question, but what I ended up doing was applying as the music teacher at Rockefeller. She said, we've had this long time, 10-year music teacher, and she basically is moving on now, and they're looking for someone. I bet you might be able to talk them into hiring you. It's part-time. So I did, having no experience, but I was like, yeah, I love kids and I can do music with them, no problem. And, I know the movement teacher really well, and we'll work together. And so they hired me, and I was so bad. I was terrible. I couldn't control. I couldn't get the kids to do anything I wanted them to do. They just I went home and cried every night. And then I ended up going and observing the woman who had been my predecessor, and she was, I don't know if I'm actually answering your question, but I'm going to keep talking. So
No,
she,
this is it. This is what I want.
because in between that I was like in bands and stuff. So I was
Yeah, I
doing
want to talk about that
music.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But the kids music part, her name with Ruth was Ruth Alperson. And I said, how do you get kids to actually pay any attention to you? Like, I watched her and she would sit at the piano and the kids would get up and they do what she said. They sit at the circle. And I was like, you're like a magician, you know? And she said, stop talking. Just put it all in the music. She would do things like, won't you please stand up? You know, and then they would all stand
Oh.
up, you know, and I was like, oh, I talk a lot, as you'll be able to tell from this interview soon. So anyway, I started making up songs where I told them what to do in the music. And that actually completely changed the trajectory of my life.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So just that one little tip, like, oh, just sing, let's get up or whatever. And then it kind of just morphed into this
Yeah.
career for you.
I think it was really that phrase, stop telling them what to do, put it in the music. You know, and actually when I've been doing these things, these online seminar. Well, I did one online seminar. I'm doing another one on August 27th. Actually, they're free for teachers, parents, anybody who wants to come, and I just basically talk about how I've been approaching working with kids, especially when I was a music teacher for like 10 years, but it still works at my shows and in the songs I write. And that, what she said, put it in the music, I sort of turned it into sing it, don't say it. And it really makes it it changes everything, you know, because I feel like as soon as I start talking, or when I did, especially as a music teacher in the classroom, what the kids heard was like the Charlie Brown voice, you know, you know, and I could talk and say anything and they wouldn't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So it really does make a difference to put it in the music. It's like, why can you remember your phone number if you sing it instead of actually saying the numbers? Why can you remember it if it's in a rhythm instead of just trying to picture them? For a lot of people anyway, I think.
Yeah. I remember kids studying for tests in like high school and middle school and stuff, just trying to like create some sort of little jingle that you could use to remember the answers or whatever.
Totally. And that's how I taught my daughter like our phone number when she was little. And that's how I actually remember my bank account number that way, which I won't sing for you right now.
That is so cool.
Like I actually do that like a really, really easy melody. And that's how I always, like, it's been 20 or 30 years of writing my bank account number.
That's so funny. I love that you're doing the seminar though, because I mean, as a parent here at home, stuck inside, trying to figure out everything between like homeschooling and getting my kids, like I have 2 boys. It's like getting them outside and just, I feel like your seminar will be very, very beneficial for people, especially right now that like, what do we do? Like, my kids are going crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the first one was basically, which you can still watch. And we actually we gave out like 3,000 certificates of completion for people who watched that. And it got watched like 80,000 times, which is amazing to me. Because at first when we came up with the idea of doing it, I was like, what am I going to say to these people? I haven't been a teacher for so many years and I don't have any idea what I'm doing. But then I realized I actually had some things to say and I think they were helpful. People seemed to really like it. And that was specifically like, here's how you could do a half hour of music with kids. And I wasn't thinking as much online yet because it had happened that we were doing stuff online, but we were all sort of hoping that everyone was going to go back to school in the fall. And that is becoming less and less likely, or at least people are doing this like blended model at least, if not all, remote learning in the fall. And that's kind of what this next, the music, it's called music in the classroom, but I'm calling it music in the classroom too, and engaging, entertaining, and educating in a virtual world, because I was really thinking about like, how can I translate what I do with my Facebook lives that people have been using in place of music classes, and talk to people about how they can use some of the things that I think about when I'm doing a live, and in almost in a concert setting. Like, teachers are going to have to be performers even more so because they'll be teaching remotely. So that's a lot of what I think I'm going to talk about. But also, I talk about how to use different songs that I've written in those situations.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know. We just got, excuse me, the principal for the school my younger son goes to just did like a 3-hour like Zoom about how they're gonna try to work it out over the course of the next year. And I'm like, it's like you can either go half the time and they're gonna do like 2. It's so confusing. My wife and I are like, we're just gonna keep him home until this kind of like, blows over a little bit more. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
One's 12 and one's 4.
Oh, so you're talking about the 4-year-old.
The 4-year-old. Yeah, the 12-year-old, he already did homeschooling anyway. So it was like, it didn't really change much other than he doesn't have to go like once a month or whatever to talk to the teacher. He just does it over Zoom now.
Oh, you guys are, wow, you're lucky. That's great. Well, you've certainly put the work in to become lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. So he went to public school all the way up until middle school. Like he's gonna be in 7th grade. So, but he started at middle school and it just wasn't for him. So we took him out. But yeah, my 4-year-old, he has autism. So he was like, he has an autistic like classroom that, he's in all the programs, and it's like even harder now because they can't go and get like the ABA therapy and all that, other stuff. So,
oh my God. Yeah.
Been quite the journey.
Yeah. I mean, middle school, oh my, and being autistic, like all of the things you're just talking about, like everything that's hard about being in a traditional school setting. So
sure. Wow. But yeah, we're making do. So, I'm intrigued to attend your seminar now to get some insight on what to do next year.
Hopefully I'll have something that you'll be interested in. We'll see.
It sounds like it. So I'm excited. That's awesome. Okay, so you were talking about you were in bands prior to doing the playing for children. Tell me about that. Did you have like aspirations to be a rock star, or like being a big rock band or something? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I spent a number of years. Well, so what happened, I think, basically was I was writing a lot of my own songs that year that I spent in Manhattan. I mean, I ended up staying there, but I moved to Hoboken in between. But anyway, I lived when I was there, and I was like writing music and playing in coffee houses and stuff. That sort of was a very singer-songwriter kind of place for me. And I realized I wanted to know more about playing guitar too. So I actually joined this all-female cover band.
Oh, cool.
It was called Lois Lane. And that was how I got to be friends with Susie Lampert. When I was at Rockefeller, she actually is a psychiatric nurse, and she worked in a lab there, and we met in the gym, which was really funny because should I tell you a story?
Yes.
So I used to go, I would teach the kids classes a couple days a week, and I'd take a break in the middle of the day and go to the gym and work out, and then try to like wipe myself down and go back and teach them in the afternoon. So early on one day when I was at the gym, I thought, I think I'll do some stretching. And I went into like this sort of stretching area. And I had a cassette tape with me that I had been working on some of my original music at the time for adults, and because I wasn't really doing kid stuff yet. And I was just working with them. So I put my headphones on and was listening, and my tape had gotten like warped. So I heard this recording of myself singing, whoa, 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 and I was mesmerized. And I was like, wow, that's what my voice sounds like when I slow it down. What could I do something with that? So I'm like listening, lying on my back, have my eyes shut, and completely surrounded within like 10 minutes. I was still listening, and I got completely surrounded by an aerobics class that had started up around me, and nobody tapped me on the shoulder and said, you need to move.
Yeah. Do they think you're just sleeping?
I don't know what they thought, but nobody said anything. Susie wasn't even in the class, but she was like working out on the machines or something,
Mm-hmm.
and saw me there and like rescued me. I didn't even know who she was. She came over and she was like, excuse me, but I don't know if you've noticed, but you're in the middle of an aerobics class. It was so embarrassing, but also I was so grateful to her. So I got up and she said, so my name's Susie, and what were you listening to? So I explained it, and then she said, oh, I'm a musician too. I play keyboard and I play in all these bands. And I was like, maybe we could like get together sometime. We kind of did that. And then we never, like for a year, I never really followed up after having one really nice hang with her. And then I auditioned for this band, Lois Lane, and got in as their like lead guitar player and lead singer, even though I didn't know how to play lead guitar really. But they had lost their main guitar player. And I said, why don't we get a keyboardist? I know this woman who I think she's good, and I think she could be cool. And so we had Susie come into the band, and then she could like do a lot of the leads when I couldn't, and we could trade playing rhythm and lead. And that gave me a chance to practice. And she was a good backup singer, and I just really enjoyed her. And basically she was like, I don't have a car. And I said, great, I have a car. I'll drive you to all the gigs. We played on Long Island all the time. So we would like start at 11 at night and be finished at 3 a.m. and play these 4-hour sets of like songs from the 60s through the 90s. And
did you cover all female artists, or
no? We didn't do that. We did some, but we didn't do very many female artists because it seemed so cliche. It was like, we don't need to play Bananarama and the Go-Go's at every single one of these shows. But I did do like, oh my God, just forgot her name, Janis Joplin. And Joni Mitchell, and we did some things at the time, like Natalie Imbruglia had that song Torn.
Torn, yeah.
That was like a new song. And there were a bunch of songs like that where we did I Just Want to Fly, and there like that was also a new song. And the woman who was the bass player, it was really her band, and she was great at like, this is going to be a hit. This song is a new hit. We need to learn it. So we did a lot of that. And I got to know Susie really well because I drove her everywhere, and we would be in the car, and we kind of kept each other sane through those years. It was a weird, it's kind of a weird time.
Yeah.
And then when I started actually performing kid songs that I was writing, I asked her to join me, and she's been playing with me ever since.
Wow. That's so cool. So the cover band was that, aside from like the singer-songwriter stuff, was the cover band the band that you're in? Did you ever have a band of your own original material?
Yeah, I had a band. The full-on band was called Red Onion.
Mm-hmm.
My record label is Two Tomatoes. I have sort of a thing about like naming things after food.
Vegetables.
Yeah. We also, Brian and I, my husband Brian, we had a cover band with another guy, Tom Shad, that was called the Butternuts. I also played in, Adam Bernstein had a band. Oh my God, I just forgot the name of it. Shoot. He had a big band called All God's Children that had like 15 members in it that Brian was part of a long time ago. That they actually did. They they did a lot of touring and did a lot of really amazing things back in the day, and had a standing gig at the Court Tavern in New Brunswick when I was in college, and a little after. Anyway, I also then after that, Adam started up another band that I was in with him of his original music, and then eventually he became my bass player when Brian decided to become a therapist and left
Oh.
the band. And so there were a lot of, trying to think. I played in another band called the Cassandras that was actually with Patrick McGuinn, who was Roger McGuinn's son from the Byrds.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so we used to sometimes go see his dad play at the Bottom Line, and
Wow. How
that was really
cool.
fun. Patrick was
Yeah.
a great guy. So I did a lot of different things like that. I can't remember. There might have been other ones, but those are the
Yeah.
ones that are coming.
Did you
to mind.
ever release music on your own, like as far as like your not kid songs, but what you were
Yeah.
doing? Did you ever release like a record or anything?
Well, at the time I didn't know what releasing meant, because there weren't, like, you couldn't just put things out online because that didn't
Right.
exist really yet. So I had cassette tapes, and I would sell them. And so I had one little cassette tape called African Mask that had 3 songs on it that was just me and my guitar.
Hmm.
And then after that, I did go into a studio and record, I think it was 5 songs, like a 5-song EP with Red Onion.
Oh, okay.
And I did that at like a really nice studio in Hoboken. But that also never made it past a cassette tape. At least, I mean, at some point I feel like, oh, it'd be fun to see if I could make those digital and
Yeah, or
make them
maybe
available.
re-record them, freshen them up or something. I don't know.
I
It
mean,
could be
I worked
cool.
really hard on those recordings. I think that they sound pretty awesome. I have to go back and listen. And maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong. I could be totally wrong, because I actually liked my first album, and when I go back and listen, I'm like, huh, that was different than what I do now.
That's funny.
Still good for what it was.
Yeah, totally. So okay, so you're working at the Rockefeller Center, and you start. That's kind of where the kid songs started, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how did it kind of just evolve into this massive thing now? Like, what did you just saw the reaction from them, and then how did you branch out to like other groups of, I guess, kids to play to?
Right. So I was working there, and I was writing songs with the kids. That really also came out of uh, watching Ruth. I feel like I'm sure she said something that made me think about this, or I don't know, or maybe it was a little bit more. This might have been a little bit more from me, although I don't credit myself with too much about how I've done well, because I've gotten such great advice from people, and I also feel like kids have been the ones who've shown me everything. But the one thing that I think I might have actually done was that I actually asked them what they like.
Hmm.
And I listened to the answer. And that was, so there I started thinking like, oh, that's why I wrote We Are the Dinosaurs was really the first song that I wrote. And it was because I asked them,
Oh.
well, what do you guys want to sing about? Because everything I'm doing with you, nobody seems to be having that much fun or like it that much. They all think Old MacDonald's too babyish, and et
Hmm.
cetera, et cetera. So I asked them one day, and some kid yelled out dinosaurs, and I just started making it up with them. And from there, I started asking them, well, what do you want to sing about today? Let's make up a new song. Or I'd think about things that I liked when I was a kid. And so at that point, I had started writing songs for them and doing it in that style of sing it, don't say it.
Hmm.
And once you know, once I felt better, like more confident as a music teacher, I started getting more jobs at different daycares and different preschools around the city.
Oh.
And then I started like teaching classes to kids in people's buildings. Like a parent would say, my kid loves your music class. It's the summer. If I got other families together, could you come? We have a playroom. Could you come and teach them? So like I started doing stuff like that. I was teaching like 25 classes a week, and I just got a lot of practice that way. And then one of the principals actually said, I have a daughter who's turning 5 or whatever. Would you want to do her birthday party.
Oh.
And literally, like, birthday parties are, for a kid's musician, is like such a perfect stepping stone into doing a concert, because you are suddenly in front of a bunch of kids that you don't know. So I
Mm-hmm.
started doing parties, and parents were saying, like, hey, we like these songs that our kids are coming, kids from like coming home singing songs about dinosaurs and other stuff, and they seem to love it, but I don't know the songs. Could you record it? So I actually made my first cassette. What do you think of that? Just for the parents to be able to learn the songs. And when I
Wow.
started doing the birthday parties, the parents would say, hey, you know that cassette you made? Why don't you like sell us 20 of them, and we'll give them out in our goodie bags, and then it'll be like a theme.
That's
And so
cool.
20 kids who I didn't teach would go home with a cassette with the song We Are the Dinosaurs on it, and the other songs I had been singing at the party. And
Mm-hmm.
then their parents were like, my kid is obsessed with your songs. Would you come and do our birthday party? And then, so it just like, and then suddenly those things started happening. I took the cassette to a couple of stores, not because of me, but because a parent was like, you should sell your cassette in kids stores. And I was like, you're
Yeah.
crazy. And she said, I'm not crazy. And we would go into a store together, and she'd be like, hi, this is Laurie Berkner, and this is her cassette, and you should sell it because it's awesome, and my kid loves it. And they, would sell a few on consignment, and then it started to do better. And one wonderful woman who runs one of the stores in New York, West Side Kids, Jen, she basically like took my cassettes to a conference and gave it out to all her friends who had different toy stores across the country. And so they started selling the cassettes, because she was like, it's doing really well in my store. You could sell it in Chicago and in Florida and in California. I mean, like, people have been so good to me. So a lot of those things happened. And eventually I ended up meeting someone who was developing the kids' TV channel, the cable channel Noggin, that was the preschool channel for Nick and June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that getting on Noggin was like the first big step to making myself more of a household. Well, it was the second big step. The first one was getting on the Today Show.
Tell me about that. Wow.
Which it's 25 years in an hour is a lot, but no, it's fine. I love, it's fun to talk about it. I'm not very linear, so I always like forget the order that things happen in.
It doesn't
But
matter.
the Today Show was a similar thing. Like, I'd done a birthday party. The parent went home with my Buzz CD. Their kid loved it. She happened to be a line producer at the Today Show. She was like, you should get this woman on here, and like she could perform. Like, they have those performances in the plaza, and
Mm-hmm.
and she pitched it to the executive producer, who actually turned it down. Then that person got replaced, and this woman pitched me a second time. I didn't even know
Wow.
it was amazing. And around that same time, Madonna's daughter was turning 3. Lola was turning 3. She was taking classes at one of the places where I was a music teacher. She was taking art classes, and the art teacher was playing my cassette in the art class. And Lola got turned on to my music through the art class. I wasn't even her teacher. And their babysitter called me and said, would you want to do her birthday party? So like, I did that. And then Sting's son was at that party. So then I ended up doing his birthday party. And like, I mean, it was one of those crazy things. There was like a New York City thing as well. And then, so when this woman pitched me the second time to the executive producer at the Today Show, that guy said, oh, I have a 3-year-old. I live on the Upper West Side. I've seen her do birthday parties. And she did Madonna's kid's birthday party and Sting's kid. Like, that would be so fun. Let's totally have her on the show. So as a little like trio, Susie and myself and Brian, my husband, who was playing bass with me at the time, we all went out into the plaza and, got there at 4 a.m, whatever, performed on the Today Show, and people came with signs, and it was, it was so fun, and that actually suddenly threw me into the national spotlight, because they did like a bio on me. like she did Party to the Stars and this is how she started. And they'd had like, a little, basically a bio video. And then they showed me and I did 2 songs and they had like people in the control room wearing pigs on their head and stuff and jokes in between. I mean, the whole thing was so fun. And that, like, then people noticed me and I got a book deal out of that. I mean, it was literally like my 15 minutes of fame that kind of catapulted me. And eventually I think that helped. That was when I started talking to the person who was developing Noggin. She asked me about my story. I mentioned that and she was like, 15 minutes on TV and like your entire, like I started selling 10 times what I was before. I thought I was going to get divorced because I like could not keep up with being a record label out of our little 1-bedroom apartment. And, but she was like, that happened 15 minutes on TV. What if we like made a bunch of videos and put them on our channel? What do you think would happen? And a lot of good things happened.
Wow. So what were you doing for Noggin? You just did like little 15-minute sessions, or like, because wouldn't it be like a 22-minute? Did you have like a show?
No, not originally. So what happened was for literally 5 years, I talked back and forth with this woman, A.B. Friedman. She was like, we're building this channel. I really think your music's going to be great for it. I don't know how we're going to use it, but we're going to figure it out. 5 years later, she says, okay, we have an original show we want to create. There were actually a couple of them, but I want to make a video of one of your songs, pop it into the pilot and see if it works. That was Jack's Big Music Show.
Okay.
Jack's Big Music Show was not set to necessarily air. There was like another one. They weren't sure what they were going to do. So they were testing that. And she said, but in the meantime, while we make this one video, why don't we make some other ones? We have slots because Noggin is a no commercial free channel. We have something that we call interstitials.
I didn't know that they're commercial free.
Well, Noggin was. Noggin doesn't exist anymore except as an app.
Okay.
But Nick Jr. isn't. So
right.
As far as I know. So Noggin was commercial free. So they would play these commercial length breaks. Mm-hmm. And they called them they're called interstitials. And she was like, we have a thing called Move to the Music and we play like music videos, but we don't have any like people. They had like their hosts,
puppets and
it was mostly animated, and they had these animated music videos. So she said we could play your videos and Move to the Music if we make like 5. Let's make 5 and let's see what happens. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what this meant. I didn't know what an interstitial was. I'd never watched a 24-hour cable channel for kids. I was like, how do you even do that? How can you find that much like content? Which of course now there's so much, but at the time it made no sense to me, but I just kind of went along with it. They put those up, and that was like, people just saw me for, I think they were they a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops in between the shows was mm-hmm. Move to the Music with Laurie Berkner Band. And then they would just show us doing 5, there were 5 songs. And it was like Victor Vito, We Are the Dinosaurs, Song in My Tummy, Buzz Buzz. Anyway, they showed those and it was like an explosion happened in my world. And that's when she was like, okay, well, we're definitely going to use you in Jack's Big Music Show, which was supposed to be for lots and lots of performers. So, which it was, they wanted to showcase basically what they call kindie performers, kids, independent musicians. And, mm-hmm. I was just supposed to be one of them, and they were using me as their test case. But when they tested, this was the story they told me, when they tested the show out with kids, they would ask them, it was a puppet show. Afterwards, they'd say, who was your favorite character on the show? Like, was it Jack or Mary or which puppet, I forgot his name. The wonderful dog who plays the drums at the end. Anyway, apparently enough of them said Laurie was their favorite character.
Wow.
That they were like, oh, we should have you in every episode rather than just like in one or two. And then, so what they did was they had us in every episode, and then they would have a different band as the second music video in every episode. So we were like the house band in that way. And then they used the interstitials to promote the show. And then there were only 2 seasons of it. And then I ended up doing some more individual music videos with them after that. But then that was sort of the end of my Nick relationship once they became Nickelodeon and not Noggin anymore. But yeah, that was, so all of those things really, like, I don't even know what the question was anymore because I've been talking so long. But
no, yeah, wow, that's so crazy. So yeah, so you did Noggin. That really kind of put you. I saw that you've played at like the White House. Like I want to know that story.
That was actually earlier. That was during Bill Clinton.
Oh, wow.
A long time ago. That was just because, like, in the kids independent music world, like, I guess my name had kind of gotten around, and someone who was booking for that called and said, would you want to do this? I think that was so early that I was only playing with Susie. I don't even think Brian had joined the band yet because only the 2 of us went. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, first of all, they had us play to the line of people first that were coming in as like an opening act almost, just out there, like, to warm up the crowd. There were, there were probably 20,000 people in line. So, and I had just never played to that many people, but it was so fun. And then we played inside, and there's lots and lots of stuff going on in there. So it was actually fewer people once we got in. But having done that, when I played on the Today Show, I felt like I could handle it. Like, having someone just look at me and go, 5, 4, we're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then, like, I was like, oh, I'm now playing to the entire country or anybody else who's watching me. Yeah. And it's live. Holy, oh my God. But having done the White House that was helpful. Yeah.
Wow. Did you get to meet Clinton and stuff? Like, was he around, or
it's
was
usually
it kind of?
It would have been Hillary, and I didn't meet her. It's the first lady who puts on the Easter egg roll.
Okay. But that's still so awesome to be a part of that. Wow.
Yeah, it was really fun, actually. And it did feel very special to be able to do that.
And then, okay. Wow. Okay. So you put out Buzz Buzz. That was like when the Today Show happened. Was that Today Show?
Actually, that year, I think that was Victor. The first, I was on the Today Show 3 times. The first time, I think, was when Victor Vito came out in 99.
Oh, okay. So when did you start, like, tour? You tour and stuff, right?
Right. Well, it's so interesting. Kids music touring. It's like you can't play every night, right? Because nobody comes to shows at night. So you never play at night. I mean, I know they do like 5 o'clock shows and stuff. I remember when Yo Gabba Gabba was the big thing, and they had these 5 p.m. shows every day.
Oh, my kids are obsessed. I mean, my older son was obsessed, and my younger son was. We actually got to meet DJ Lance and the guy that plays Muno at Comic-Con a couple of years ago. It was like they just happened to be walking by, and they went into like those little pop vinyl toys. I don't know if you've seen them. Anyway, he was in they're called Funko Pop vinyls, but he was in this their booth, and I'm like, oh, look, that guy's dressed up like DJ Lance. And then some guy's like, that is DJ Lance. I'm like, no way. So, because there's a crowd, and my family, we just kind of walked over to the side, and then he came out, and he signed, they both signed like a picture for both of my kids. And then Muno took off a pin. He had a pin of DJ Lance's boombox, like an orange pin. And he's like, and he gave it to my son, and he said, oh, this is like super rare. Don't lose it. It's DJ Lance's boombox. And we have it like displayed in my son's room with this photo or the autograph thing. It was really cool. So, yeah. But yeah, you're saying that shows kid shows were all during the daytime.
Right. So touring for me was a lot of like going, away on the weekend. I mean, actually, I did do like a 4-week tour with Brian and Susie where we actually toured doing kids festivals, mostly in Canada. So we
Mhm.
started in Toronto, but then went to Western Canada and worked our way kind of back east. And but kind of since then, and certainly once we had Lucy, the way that I tour is like doing as many shows as I can during the year on the weekend and
Mhm.
trying not to be away for too long at a time. So I would do a lot of like one show or 2 shows in a day on a weekend and then come home.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I know that show PJ Masks, they had like a live action thing that came here to San Diego and we went and it was like, yeah, they did a show at like noon and then like one at 3 and it was only
Yeah,
Saturday, Sunday. And I think then the tour carried on to the next city, which
exactly.
makes sense because yeah, no, you can't take your kid to see a show at 3 o'clock on like a Wednesday or something.
Exactly. Right. Parents
Yeah.
can't go then. Kids are, in school or napping or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome though. Are you still prior to COVID, were you still doing that?
Oh yeah. I had to cancel. We had so many shows booked. Oh, so sad about it actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, and really the big bummer is like there were places that I hadn't gone to in a really long time, like Ohio. We just missed that show, and
Oh,
and I also had a lot of shows booked with the band, which for a while I'd been playing a lot of solo shows,
oh,
just mostly because of like the size of the venue and stuff like that, and financials and stuff. But I had all these like band shows booked this year, and it's really such a bummer. But
yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to go back and do them.
Yeah. I like that you mentioned Ohio and you have a song called Did You Go to Ohio?
I do. I know.
Uh, I have family in Ohio and we'd go back every year. My family's in Cleveland area. So
Nice.
I thought that was so cool. I'm like, oh, she has a song about it. Do you have any tie there or you just hadn't played there in a while? That's why you mentioned it.
I mentioned it because I just missed. I haven't played there in some years, and
Okay.
I feel like I get an overwhelming amount of fan mail and social media posts from people saying, "When are you coming to Ohio?" And I wrote that song, which I randomly just wrote because I liked the way it rhymed.
Oh, okay. I think that was my question. Like, did you have like a tie to there? Like why
No,
you wanted to go there and you wrote a song kind of with the
no, but
name in it?
it's just that we had an August show planned for there, which was the first one I think in like 4 years. And it was with the band. I mean, it was just I'm like beyond heartbroken that we're not going.
Mhm.
But I just loved. I think I was like putting away the dishes one day, and I was, "Did you go to Ohio? Oh yes, I went to Ohio. And when I went to Ohio, the people were so nice." Like I just started making something up, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun. Let's do it with some
Yeah.
other places too."
That's cool. I love that all your records are kind of themed too, right? Where you have, I don't know, like you have a song for about superheroes or a record about superheroes, a record about food. And like did you just come up with a concept and then try to write like a handful of songs in that lane?
No, I mean, it's interesting. A lot of times what ends up happening is that I look back and say, where was I when I was writing all these songs? Like, what kind of theme do I see running through them?
Mhm.
And I do have like a bunch of digital albums where I've grouped songs that are similar to each other, like the food songs or
Oh,
transportation.
okay. So those are
Yeah, so
just
you may
group
be
stuff
seeing
on.
those. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The
Gotcha.
actual albums, they do usually have a kind of a theme, but I don't sit down and plan to write that way necessarily. I mean, it's interesting at this point, I've written so many songs that I do actually try and go back and say, what have I not written about?
Mhm.
And then like what's missing that especially that teachers or parents or kids might be, I mean, certainly kids, but that people just might want to sing about or wish there were a song about or want to celebrate. So I do think from that place a lot when I'm like, okay, what should I write about next?
Mhm. Mhm. And I noticed that like on Under a Shady Tree, like that record got distributed through like Capitol Records and Universal Records. Did it
Oh,
or no?
that's so. What you're seeing is the music business is so interesting. So basically, I started my record label
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't want to have to rely on a record label that could drop me at any moment, probably wouldn't pay me anything. Like the horror stories that I heard from singer-songwriters who made 16 cents an album or
Sure.
1.6 cents an album. Like when I could sell myself through, especially like again, to date myself, like when I first started, the internet was very young and it was like, oh my God, I could sell something on something called a website. I mean,
Right.
it was just like that was a whole new thing, right? I realized I could do this myself. I don't have to depend on these giant corporations that have no interest in me as a human being. So I did look for eventually after creating my Two Tomatoes record label, I did look for a distributor, and there
Mm.
were kids distribution channels because I couldn't get into stores without actually using a distributor. So I ended up,
Oh.
the kids ones actually did not survive very well in the digital age, and I ended up going with a label called Razor and Tie, which was
Hmm.
still an independent label that was smaller than something like a Universal but bigger than like a Rounder Records. And um, there was so anyway, I when I went with them, they used Universal to distribute with, like they actually needed to work with a larger a larger company in order to get the distribution channels open to them, like to be able to put CDs in a Target or
Hmm.
have them sold online at a Walmart, or even in the smaller, toy stores. So that's probably what you're seeing. And
Yeah.
Sony is also, they actually switched, I think, from originally
Sony
they
Red, I
were
think they
Sony,
were.
yeah, and then they were in Universal. And
I think they're
now,
Orchard now, maybe. I
well,
don't know.
that right now, actually, I am Razor and Tie got bought by Concord Music.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I have now a relationship with Concord Music where they actually own the rights to a lot of my music, and they get it out into the world for me in a way that I just wasn't able to with my like little 3-person office.
Mm.
So that's been really wonderful. That's helping a lot because streaming has become so important. Actually, making sure that my music is available on streaming platforms, which I am not really equipped to do myself, is the difference between having a company that pays for itself and one that doesn't, basically.
Right. That makes sense. That's cool that you're on Razor and Tie. I mean, I know that label personally because I like a lot of the bands that they've signed and put stuff out over the course of the years. That's why I recognize the name. Oh, I know that label. That's
Well,
awesome.
they're Kids Bop.
Yeah. Oh, they are. I didn't know they're Kids Bop.
So
Interesting. That
that
makes a lot
was
of
what
sense now.
intrigued me. Yeah. So
Okay.
that was sort of their big idea that put them on the map. And they were so, to me, they were so interesting about how they marketed. Like I remember starting out and going into a Dwayne Reed or like a pharmacy,
Hmm.
a drugstore, and seeing Kids Bop on the counter. And I
Hmm.
was like, who thinks of stuff like that? Like putting your kids' album out, and it's like sort of cheesy and yet it works. And I was like, I love these people.
Hmm.
They're so smart. I mean,
Brilliant.
my first DVD actually got distributed through Starbucks, and it was because
Wow.
I was working with Razor and Tie, and they had this relationship, and they were like, Starbucks wants to do music, and they want to do kids, family stuff. Let's get your DVD out through them. So like they did these really smart marketing things that I thought were very outside the box, and I loved them for it. And now they don't really exist so much anymore. They are the Kids Bop label at this point, and I'm part of that with them.
Hmm.
I mean, I still have Two Tomatoes Records is still my label, but I work directly with them as my label. So it's been a really kind of interesting journey, and I think they were a very nice partner to have through it.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really, really cool, especially to get the help like that and get your name out there and into the stores, like you said, and
Yeah.
Starbucks. Like
Yeah, I mean, they
that's really
didn't want me
cool.
back after I wasn't on TV anymore, but, I mean, Starbucks didn't,
Oh.
but it was good at the time.
Right, yeah. That's still really cool, wow. And so you just released a song, what, a couple days ago, or the
Hey.
newest
Oh,
one
yes, yes, couple days ago.
a couple days ago, "What Am I Gonna Be for Halloween?" Tell me
Yeah,
about that song.
yeah. It was just I thought it would be first of all, I was like, I really need another Halloween song. That would be really fun. I have Monster Boogie, which I love playing. I love playing The Cat Came Back and stuff. But I was like, what is fun about Halloween is like trick or treating and dressing up. It's like planning your costume, right? Like,
Mhm,
what are you gonna be? And then I thought it could be fun to turn it into kind of a guessing game. So that's what the song is like I'm gonna wear a costume all made of fur, and I'm gonna have a mane, and I'll say roar. What am I gonna be? And then the kids get to guess. And what's really fun about that is like if you use that in a classroom setting, or if you're just singing it at home, you can change it and like
mhm.
make up anything, and then play a guessing game with your kids, or the kids can play it with each other or with their grown-ups. So yeah, that was a really fun one to write, and I tried it out actually with a group of kids, and it was a couple different groups of kids before I recorded it, and it was like just the reaction of, okay, I'm black and white, and I have stripes, and I run through through the jungle.
Mhm.
They're like, a zebra, a zebra, a zebra.
That's so cool.
So fun. It's so fun.
When you do, like, I saw you did a live stream earlier today performing that song.
Yeah.
When you do those live streams, is it cool to see, like, are you able to kind of engage with the people at all? Like, is it weird because you can't really vibe off the kids? And
I can see the comments.
uh-huh.
But so I was doing Instagram and Facebook, which we just started finally figured out how to do Instagram too. I mean, it was just more than I could handle, I think, in the past. But anyway, I can see, the Instagram ones are really small and the Facebook ones are a little bigger. And I can sort of see them, but I also have a list of like, okay, these are the songs I'm going to do today. I sort of have a script up.
Mhm,
So that I don't forget things that I want to talk about on there, because they're usually 25 to 35 minutes, so it's like
mhm.
bang zoom, really short. And I often try to do a theme, so we're getting all these things in. And while I'm doing that, I actually have people who are online with me. I have Zoom up.
Mhm.
They're all muted, and they are also on a Google Doc with me, and they're typing into the Google Doc like, hey, this person said this, or here's a name for the birthday shout outs. I always do birthday shout outs
Cool.
on every one of them. And so like they gather the names. At the end, I sing my goodnight song, and I ask kids to tell me what animal they'd like me to sing about. So they put it in the comments, and Chloe and Michelle and Katie are all typing them onto the Google Doc for me, so that
Mhm.
I can look in one place
And
and
get
see
all.
them. Yeah. So it's like, it's really a systematized thing that
Yeah.
helps me. But that's sort of the most kind of interaction I can get. I do have, I mean, I have a feeling of them being there, but I can't see anybody. I just have to imagine it, obviously, and it's
Mhm.
not like Zoom. It's a Facebook Live,
Yeah.
and I wish I could, and I love the responses, and I always go back the same night, or usually within a day, and I sit down and I actually read through every single comment, and I
Wow.
try to respond when I can, or at least like them, so that people know that I saw them, because they took the time to comment to me. I want to read them, and I love knowing what they're thinking. I wish I could do it more live, although that would make it take a long time, and I also don't want to lose the kids. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going, hi, Adam. Oh, Adam in San Diego. Hi. It's like that gets boring, I think, to the kids who are like, will you sing a song or say hi to me now?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I can. I can see that getting difficult. I mean, even having my 4-year-old try to do Zoom calls for the remainder of last year's school year, trying to get him in front of the thing for they were trying to do an hour in the beginning, and then that got nixed real quick, and then went down to 30 minutes, and even that was like, okay. I mean, I guess with what you're doing, you're actually performing and engaging the kids, but still, I could see how it would be difficult to kind of manage all of that while you're trying to perform and you're not
It-
able to kind of see them.
right. It's funny because I never know if they're like how people are receiving what I'm doing. So I'm guessing,
Mhm.
and I have to like really trust that it's okay. And the people who work for me are always like, we can tell when we gave you a lot of things to say because you start talking really fast. Because I'm trying really hard. I'm like, I don't want to lose the kids. I don't want to lose the kids. So I
Mhm.
have a Down in Star Beach party coming up, and I have a thing coming. And I want to say, if you want to watch Brady, he's tomorrow. My friend Carly has a tube town, and and today I'm going to sing this song. And don't forget to wash your hands and wear your mask. And
Yeah. Are you going to put out a song about washing your hands and putting on a mask?
I already have a song about washing hands. I just sang it today. It's called the Superhero Hand Washing Song.
Oh,
It's
okay.
only 1 minute long, which makes me want to sing it for you right now. But
Was it pre-COVID that you wrote it?
no.
Oh, it's new.
I just put it out a month ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it
Is that
gives directions for every single part. Come here. I'm a superhero with a job to do. And if you're a superhero, you can save the world too. Just turn on the water, add a lot of soap. It's time to wash our hands. Do it with me, Adam. Wash, wash like I'm making plans. Wash, wash like I'm shaking hands. Wash, wash. I do the front and back. It's a superhero germ attack. I get under each nail. Count from 1 to 10. If I need more time, I just do it again. Count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I make wiggly spider fingers washing in between because superheroes get every finger clean. Then I wash each wrist, give them a twist, and in each palm I make a superhero fist. Now one last rinse and then one last scrub, and then I rinse my hands. Rinse them all clean with a superhero dance. Dooga, 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 dooga. Now turn off the water and it's time to dry. Dry, 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 cause I'm a superhero and my job here is done. See you later. I gotta fly.
I love it. So cool. Such good lyrics. Jeez. I mean, wow.
Thank you.
That was
Turn
very
it on. You can just turn on the song, stick your kids at the sink, and they will get their hands clean, and it takes 1 minute.
that is amazing. Now I'm gonna use your catalog here to really try to organize my children and get them to do things.
I'm working on the mask song, but if you watch any of my Facebook lives, I do try to wear a mask at least at one point and talk about being a superhero while I'm wearing it on every one of them now. And also my profile pic has a mask too, because I absolutely believe in it. And I want to write the right song for it. So I'm hoping to have that ready before my music in the classroom thing.
Cool. That hand washing one is a hit. That's so good.
Thank you. It's really fun. It's really fun to do, and it was fun. We have it's a little video for it if you want to see it. It was hard. It's hard to do those things, while everybody's at home, but
right,
it's out there.
That's so cool, and I like the mask idea too because that was a whole thing trying to get my 4-year-old to wear it when we're going outside. We bought him. My wife's friend was early on was making masks and using the money and donating masks to the workers, the frontline workers. And so we got him one with like Mickey Mouse on it, and we are trying to get him to wear it, and like he wouldn't in the beginning, but he's getting better with it. It's just I can't imagine, like they're saying, at least in our school district, if you send your kids to school, like everyone has to wear a mask, and it's like, how are they gonna get?
That's exactly the song I'm gonna write.
Yeah.
That is the song. And I've been working on it. I have it sort of partially done, but I want it to be the right one. I mean, some people are saying like Laurie has a mask on her face. I mean, they could sing like Pig on Her Head with Mask Song or something.
Yeah.
But I feel like it has to say why and it has to be like, I'm proud of it, and I'm doing something really great for myself and the world right now.
Yeah.
Just like remind them why it's so important. So I want it to be, I want to do it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Excuse me. It's the only way everyone's going to be able to gather, you know,
Yep.
and go to your shows and let people
Exactly.
kind of, you know, come together. It's like,
Wear a
put
mask
on
so you
your
can see a Laurie
masks. So
Berkner show.
yeah, stop sitting back and complaining about how you can't go to shows and put your mask on
Put the
and we'll
mask
be able
on.
to go to shows.
That's the song. Don't complain. Put your mask on.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Well, tell me about what you have coming up, Laurie. I know you have a live event. I want to hear
Yeah.
all about it.
Yeah. So excited about this. So I started doing some ticketed live streams in place of a place of touring right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they're full length concerts. I did one on June 21st on Father's Day, and then I have one coming up this Sunday on August 9th. It is a dinosaur beach party is the theme. So we set the whole thing up. I actually do it in my living room, but it really looks like a stage. Like we've put up the backdrop that I would use at an actual concert,
Mm-hmm.
and an in-person concert. We have lights. We actually also do some overlays so that there are graphics on the screen. So for every song, like when I sing Victor Vito, you'll see Victor and Freddie and the rice and the spaghetti. And the fun thing for this one is the theme of the dinosaur beach party means that we're going to have a dinosaur hunt where in every song there will be a dinosaur will appear at some point on the screen. And the kids can search for that. It's really, the whole thing is just an entire like event. So once you buy a ticket, as soon as you buy the ticket at live.laurieberkner.com, there's a video there. So if you want to surprise your kids, it's me saying, "Hi, you're going to my concert. I can't wait to see you." So you can show that to your kids as like
cool.
a surprise. And then there's a chat like Facebook Live, and you can have a little beach party avatar. And then there's also these other fun overlays that are like little games that we put up, like which one of these pictures is the bumblebee, you know, and there's like a star and a ball and a bee, and or asking questions and people will respond to them. We're going to be doing like every kid's going to have a shell that is a picture of a shell that is available on the page that you can download beforehand and fill in. And we did it with stars last time, and all the kids colored in their star, and this time they'll be coloring in their shell. And then we do an activity during the show with them. And it's just, the whole thing is really fun. And there's even an option for a meet and greet at the end.
Oh, wow.
Where you can like do an add-on, and then I call you after the show and we talk for a few minutes, and that you can take a picture with me and keep a video of the conversation. And what was I going to say? Oh, the other thing is that before the show, we open the doors, the virtual doors, like an hour in that little lobby area where the welcome video is. And you can start chatting. And also we have a slideshow and video show that lasts for an hour, where you can do a craft with the seashell. And that kind of gives you a chance to make sure that all your stuff is working, which that's the worst, is like, you don't want to come to the live stream and turn it on and be like, "Oh shoot, I forgot how to hook up my whatever."
Right.
Or
I got to upload
exactly.
do
So
this or whatever.
It's really great to come a little early and make sure it all works. And then like we have a countdown, and there's actually a little, like, there's going to be a few minute video that's like an opener before the show starts, which last time we had these kids who did a dance to the Monster Boogie dance remix, and they filmed themselves on Zoom, and we put it together as a video and had them be like the opening act. So
I think I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, we just posted it again this week because of the dress up day. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I did see that. That was played before the earlier show, or the first concert you did.
That was our opener. And that's why we had that video. So we replayed it for everybody who wasn't able to come to the show. So anyway, it's just been like, it's a really fun thing to put together, and it's a really fun thing to be part of. Everyone who was part of it, I'm going to move because my computer's about to run out of batteries. Everyone who was a part of it just seemed to have such a great time. And you can like tell your friends and watch together. And I don't know, just the whole thing is a great event. So I can't wait for people to come. And we have, so the August 9th one is the next one.
Uh-huh.
And I just want to do a plug, which is that basically it's one ticket is $20. Plus we have need-based tickets. If you really can't afford the $20, we're selling tickets for $10. And some people have even purchased tickets that we could give away to make sure that anyone who wants to come can come. But buying that one ticket for your whole family, like that is what is allowing me to do the Facebook Lives and all the other like fun, free things that I can do during this time, and the music in the classroom, seminar, like all that stuff. I'm trying to fund it through these very few ticketed events that I'm doing. So I can't say how much I appreciate the support of people who are actually doing that and coming to them. So
that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, $20, if you think about it, that's, if you have I have four people in my house, $5 a kid. I mean, a person, that's not bad at all. And if you were going to see you, it'd be, say $20 a ticket. Then now I'm at $80 instead of $20. It's
double that. It used to be double, honestly. The tickets were like $40. So yeah, it's a deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you're doing that. And you were talking about, do you have more of those coming up or just the one scheduled?
Oh yeah, sorry. I have, so August 9th is the next one, the Dinosaur Beach Party. But then after that, September 20th, we're doing a pajama party.
Cool.
That's going to be super fun. And then October 31st, we're doing a Halloween show. And in December, oh man, I can't remember the date, but early December, there will be a holiday party.
Cool. That's really exciting. Have you thought about doing, like I've seen here in San Diego, they've done one, and I know in Orange County, they've done a couple of those like drive-in concerts. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I thought about that. Actually, my booking manager, we talked about the kind of the logistics of that. There's a couple of things. One is that it would be hard with little kids. Like they'll want to get out of their cars to dance. Like, the whole thing is when I do a show, it's like everybody's moving. So to keep them in their space might be really hard. There have to be bathrooms.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't, like, financially, it
doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's a hard model. Yeah, it's a really hard model. But
I have heard that.
It's just, I don't know. Right now, this feels like I can give a better experience to everybody, and families will feel safer. Like, I don't know how safe people are going to feel anyway going to live shows. I think for 20-year-olds, they'll be happy to go to a drive-in.
Yeah, but maybe not. Yeah, for little kids.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might change as, and I'm definitely interested in it and open to it, but there's just a lot of logistics. And right now, this is something I can do and keep the ticket prices really low and still be able to, like, get through this time.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. I know, this is just crazy. I can't believe it's still going on. I mean, wow, it's been.
And it's going to be. I mean, it's going to be for a while.
Yeah, I know the numbers here in California just keep going up. So it's like we thought we were flattening the curve and all that stuff, and it's Ving back up to unfortunately. Yeah. But like you said, we got to keep the mask on.
Got to keep the mask on.
The mask will save us. So, well, awesome. I can't wait to check out the show. I love that it's so interactive. That must have been a lot to kind of come up with the games and the different little things to do. I mean, it's really, really creative.
Really fun. And there are other surprises that I haven't even talked about. So there's more. It's really worth it. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm really excited. That's really cool. I know my kids are gonna dig it. The 4-year-old's gonna go nuts. So
hey, thank you.
Yeah. I have one more question for you, Laurie. Thank you so much for taking this time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
Of course, total pleasure.
Yeah. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Like in the kids' world or any artist?
Any artist. It could work in the kids' world.
Sure. I mean, the thing that usually comes to mind first is, like, if you want to do something if you want, the way that I feel like I found what I could do really well within the world of music, like I mentioned at the beginning, I thought I wanted to be on Broadway. Then I thought I wanted to be a rock star. I ended up writing and performing music for kids, like not on my radar, right? But what happened was I got this job because somebody saw something in me that they're like, you're really great with kids. You're a musician. Why don't you try this? Right. And then I did it and I was like, it was really hard at first. But when I actually put a little work into it, I found that I was getting better at it. And then I thought, I'm actually kind of good at this. People are responding to this. I was writing music and trying to play in bands and, playing dive bars in New York City and stuff and begging my 30 friends to come to each of the shows. And I would do a birthday party and there would be like dads going, play Victor Vito, And I was like, wait, what works? What's working is me writing songs for kids. And it's like the kids are loving them. And even the parents seem to really be liking them. Whereas when I'm trying to do all this stuff like in bars, I have to work so hard. So what I'm coming around to is if you know essentially what it is that you want to do, pay attention to what's working and follow it. Like maybe you don't end up doing it, but it's worth following. It's worth like putting your energy towards what you find comes naturally to you. And then maybe that will lead you to whatever your niche is, because that's what we all need to find is like, what do we do best? What makes us happiest to do? And as performers and artists, it's also what makes the people who are consuming what we're creating happiest and most connected to us, to the music we're making, to whatever art is coming out of us. So it's worth like paying attention to what's working and then following it.